So, Goku might be coming back home, but here, is that really a good thing? Hey folks, MasakoX here. Sometimes these what-ifs can be from things that are quite easy to get to grips with, and are from scenarios which the fandom have asked rather frequently to cover over the years. I mean, way before I started. However, some of the more intriguing questions arise from the more, let's say, mundane situations, or ones that don't initially ring true in terms of a compelling story. You wouldn't think anything interesting would come out of it. But today's what if is one example of this. Back in the day, in the first Dragon Ball series, things were very important in terms of Goku's development. From the very beginning of the show to where we saw in episode 153, we got the building blocks for Goku as we knew him, to become the prodigy he is to this day, as well as being someone, whilst selfish in various ways, had his friends in mind, as well as wanting to make things right in whatever was required. But what if all that didn't happen? And it all came about from one single decision taken differently. One single action which threw everything off the table, everything off course, and it all has something to do with his master. What if Goku managed to win the 21st Martial Arts Tournament? Okay, so Goku won the tournament earlier, big deal. Ah, not so. You see, Roshi entered Krillin and Goku into that contest to instill one of his core philosophies: discipline. Discipline in your own ability, understanding that there will always be a challenge to overcome, and that out there, out in the big wide world, there is someone as strong or even stronger than you are, and that you must keep striving to be the best, should that person come your way. In short, don't get big-headed. That's why Jackie Chun was the thing. Too bad in this story it completely backfired, that plan. Not only did Goku win when he wasn't supposed to, but the lesson that Roshi strove to teach was thrown to the wayside. Goku here became an arrogant kid, and then into a very stubborn adult, a dangerous one at that, who eventually left Earth and went with the Saiyans. But don't think that he's truly evil though, he's just very pompous is all. He just thinks that everything's out to get him. In the last part, the fight for Planet Namek really kicked up a gear. The Ginyu Force were in full swing, and this all culminated in them being defeated, and Freeza having to step in, whilst his best crew were being torn apart, much earlier than the original. Vegeta's plan to artificially inflate his power with Zenkai's was working, but even that still didn't work. And Piccolo, despite having the addition of Kaioken to his repertoire, did his very best to contain Freeza, but that still didn't work either. Lots of things were failing to materialize any viable advantages for our heroes, and it then reached a flashpoint when Raditz, who was usually quite risk-averse, took one for the team, and subsequently he succumbed to his boss's fury. And in that moment, Goku's life changed, and we ultimately see the discovery and emergence of Super Saiyan Goku, as his brother left this mortal coil, saving his brother's life. Things had suddenly gotten rather silent. Namek was quite the serene place, but this silence cut through everyone present. It was a muted sensation that felt immensely heavy. Goku had experienced a true loss, and the next thing he would experience was true rage. At first, Freeza didn't expect to even be remotely affected by the incoming punch. He thought that all of this was just a bunch of theatrics, someone throwing a temper tantrum, and that he would easily put this to bed like every other time. One Saiyan took himself out, made things easier. But not so, which caught him off guard. That monkey filth, that weakling of the group, had earlier been lying on the ground not so far off the brink of death. But now it started to do some actual damage. Somehow. He didn't know what to think, Freeza. Should he be impressed with his own judgment that he was right that the legendary Super Saiyan was a thing? Should he be taking this action seriously? And dare he say it, be afraid? One thing was for sure, the Space Emperor despised even the notion of doubt within his mind. He started to naturally respond to the Saiyan's attack. The battle wasn't over yet. He would make sure that this would be a valuable lesson to all present. No matter what you do, Freeza would prevail. From a distance, Vegeta, Krillin and Bulma observe the struggle between these two titanic powers, and they are in awe at the full magnificence of the duel between Goku and Freeza, which is on display. Despite the fact that Bulma couldn't sense energy at all, I mean, she could still see it unfold before her very eyes and be impressed like that. Their former Saiyan friend is a literal shining beacon of fury, which is throwing punch after punch after punch and blast after blast after blast without interruption. He was unstoppable. Meanwhile, the silence is broken by Krillin, who now has to state to the group the obvious, since nobody else was going to right now. So, I know our friend's winning right now, but shouldn't we evacuate everyone? I mean, we have the keys to Frieza's spaceship, so... The prince's eyes break from Kakarot and turn to Krillin looking utterly disgusted. But before Vegeta can start his protest at such a cowardly move, in his eyes, Krillin then gets a telepathic message from King Kai. It turns out that Kami back on Earth is in the process of gathering its Dragon Balls to try and help in some way. It seems that actually the group on Namek don't really have to do anything for the moment. All they have to do is sit tight, and they'll all be teleported out of there soon enough, before anything would get really south. Everyone will be sent back to Earth except Goku and Freeza. But despite this good plan, Krillin is kind of worried that this wish would include the likes of Nappa and Vegeta. Yeah, I know, it sounds pretty far-fetched, little guy. But they fought against the Galactic Emperor and helped in some way, so... maybe it won't be so bad? Says you. You don't have to be here to deal with them, mutters a very irate Krillin under his breath. Tenshinhan is also watching the encounter in horror, much like everyone else. He was beaten up by the monster personally, and whatever Goku just did, he is simply able to not just stand up to Freeza, but be able to put him in his place more than anyone up until now ever could. Sure, I mean, he's not exactly dominating him yet like in the original, but seeing Freeza being pushed back in some way, ever so slightly, gives them all a little glimpse of hope that they can maybe win, or at least incapacitate the Emperor so that they can escape. Not only that, but if Goku is that powerful, what will he do if he's able to win here? Is that truly a good thing for the Earthlings of Goku victory? His thirst for revenge might not have been sated by winning against Freeza, the strongest being in the galaxy. And once they're back on Earth, he might prove to be dangerous to Saiyan, now that he actually has cohorts of the same rank. So this means that this battle isn't so conclusive either way for any human. Some of the surviving Namekian healers alongside Dende are trying their best to bring back the defenders of their planet from the brink of death, and they are just about succeeding at that task, keen not to get in the way of the remaining Saiyans. But they are in luck though, because even the likes of Nappa doesn't try to stop them. He is far too busy looking in astonishment of what Kakarot has become. Well, I'll be! The legends were true! Frieza's no match for the legendary Super Saiyan! He's even further impressed by what Goku does next. He had thrown Freeza into a general mountain, and it hurt the tyrant. It hurt bad. Something that he was not keen to experience again. Although his death beam seemed to connect with its intended target, and do some sort of injury, the Saiyan was brutal and savage enough to ride through the pain of it all and come out fighting back even more. Freeza knew that he would have to change his tactics in order to win this. He had had enough of this encounter, quite frankly. He was done. If he cannot wish for immortality, he may as well bring this whole place down. Everyone looked aghast when the Space Emperor started to generate an attack, which was meant to tear apart the planet itself, which indeed caused very violent eruptions. But before the cataclysm was able to consume the Namekians and the Z-Fighters, they simply popped out of existence. They were safely transported to Earth, much to Vegeta and Tenshinhan's dismay. Freeza looked around. He couldn't see anybody for miles, except the monkey. In a fit of blind panic, too late to reverse the process of destruction, the Emperor flew as fast as his body would allow out of the atmosphere. His plan had failed. He could feel the licking flames of the dying world beneath him. He was in danger of ending himself if he was too close to the explosion. Back on Earth, Tenshinhan and Vegeta were not happy at all. They felt that they could have done more there, but their wounds seemed to have proved otherwise. As of now, they grudgingly allow themselves to be patched up by the Namekian healers, as well as a couple of sensu beans. Also, neither Vegeta or Nappa have really that much reason to try and conquer Earth right now because, dealing with injuries, they've seen Goku being the legendary Super Saiyan, so the Earthlings weren't in any imminent danger. Piccolo was also pretty puzzled with all of this. The old man did it, but why? Freeza was still alive. Now everything was up to Goku. They couldn't help. And meanwhile, Goku himself was in a near berserk state. The transformation to Super Saiyan had proven to be much more intense than in the original, even though overall he is slightly weaker. He could see Freeza trying to escape the planet, and the Saiyan wouldn't allow its prey to get away. Although he is more than capable of being able to damage Freeza right now, he is still a little bit too weak in order to totally erase the Tyrant right now, but that didn't stop him trying. The planet around him was in a state of total destruction, and it could blow up at any second. His thoughts, though, were simple, like a very primitive animal. Must kill Freeza. Must survive. And as the cataclysm around him failed to relent, Goku charged at the villain to not give him the luxury of having a long distance between them, which would give the enemy some sort of advantage. Freeza, though, was getting sick and tired of this. Power hadn't worked, desperation hadn't worked, not even escaping worked. Quite frankly, the exhaustion was now coupled with a slowly expanding sensation of fear. Everyone around them had just vanished. So, his opponent had no reason to restrain himself right now, to protect his friends. For the first time in Frieza's life, he realized that this is truly a fight for his life. All right, you've proven your point, monkey. You are powerful enough to give me some physically demanding exercise. Not bad. So, how about this? I'm feeling rather merciful today. Join me as my right-hand man. I have a spot open, just so it seems, which I don't think will disappoint you, he asked, seeing that his words caused his opponent to stop. So, what do you say? A punch in the guts convinced Freeza quite clearly that this creature was not open for negotiations. Must destroy Freeza. Goku powered up further, going all out now. He lunged forward, grasped his enemy, and propelled the pair of them deep into the planet's melting crust. The Tyrant was screaming something about him being crazy, but Goku didn't hear any of this. He was going at it without stopping. Finally, Goku could feel that he was wearing Freeza down. Everything was getting hotter around them, but the Saiyan could feel his enemy's panic outweighing it, and he quite enjoyed it. As Freeza blew a hole in the planet's crumbling surface, they were even closer to destruction than ever. Must survive. Finally, Goku's eyes spotted Frieza's ship. He might be able to pilot it. He just needed to gather his thoughts. I think I'm done with you, Goku said calmly. No! You can't just... Freeza started to ready an energy blast, ready to destroy his own vessel. But Goku just simply snapped Frieza's arm, twisted it behind his back, and left him there. I said, I'm done. Everything hurt right now, despite his immense durability. Freeza tried to muster one more energy attack, but he felt too weak for it to travel that great a distance to its target. What is that monkey screaming? What is that word? Oh my, that's a huge energy blast! As the Kamehameha set about its own massive explosion, Goku mustered all of his stamina to get onto the ship. He didn't know how to pilot the thing, so he just started slamming the controls, remembering some sort of basic thing from the Saiyan pods. He hoped that he would hit the autopilot, and at the last moment, he did. The ship raised up, leaving the exploding Namek for dust, and whatever was left of Freeza, right in the epicenter on the planet, yeah, that was toast. The people of Earth felt it, felt that Goku had won. The subsequent celebrations, though, were a reluctant affair, but they held them anyway. With time, though, Namek was restored, and with that, everyone who had fallen at the hands of Freeza and his men, including Raditz, were revived. Nappa and Vegeta decided not to betray these Earthlings after all. The big guy had quite enjoyed the company of the Dragon Clan Namekians and Vegeta. Well, Bulma was taking care of him, which took away his thoughts of destroying the planet. With the last wish, they were able to transport Goku back to Earth. He looked awful, as he was stranded in space for quite some time. Both the Saiyans and Namekians decided to establish a small settlement on Earth as well as New Namek, since Goku was relieved to see his brother alive. Yet one of the first things he did after returning was to confront Ten Shinhan with a bit of mania in his eyes and voice. Once I've rested up, we will fight again, to settle it once and for all. Ten Shinhan didn't say anything, but he was sad that despite his large power, the Saiyan is still upset about a silly little tournament years ago. Once and for all, he said, collapsing to the ground. The threat was hanging over the Triclops, who decided right now to train some more, ready for whenever Goku decided to jump him. He even convinced Piccolo to be his sparring partner as well as Chaozu, as he seemed to have actually made his peace with Kami right now. It was a very reluctant peace to be sure, but it was something. But deep in the heart of the Frieza Empire, King Cold was already plotting his revenge for the death of his son. It took him some time to figure out who was responsible for the demise of his progeny, but finally, He had figured it out. This was a personal offense, and so he himself gathered a sizable invasion force and headed towards Earth. Such a situation had caused a large amount of distress within the Dragon team. But with all the Saiyans and Namekians, as well as pretty well-trained humans, they felt like they were ready. Cole's troops were fading fast, and before they were able to go for the king himself, a mysterious young man with a very interesting looking sword appeared, shocking everyone, especially Goku, when he then decided to show off his ability to go Super Saiyan. And then he was able to handle Cold quite easily. "Who are you?" Goku roared at the youngster. "I demand answers! I want to talk to you, Goku. Just like you, I am a Super Saiyan, and I've come to deliver a warning." "Oh yeah, sure you have, imposter!" And so, Goku charged at him with full power, going Super Saiyan himself, not interested in the boy's words. Trunks didn't expect that, and that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? Will Trunks be able to go after Goku? Will the message be able to be delivered, or would Trunks leave them to rot? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!